let's get in. Let's take a stroll down Pennsylvania Avenue, big boy.
I pull it up. Let's do it.
We got history for you, and we're going to talk about a cool little topic at the end, and then we're done.
Si, senor.
I think I'm going to skip work, honestly.
Does. Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
So this is This Week in History, running from Thursday, October 25th, through Wednesday, October 31st. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Hit me with that knowledge.
October 25th.
Get smart, kids. October 25th.
25th.
October 25th.
October 25th.
October 25th.
2000. Not 2000. Sorry.
Whoa.
I was reading like today's.
That's like
yesterday's date.
This year.
Or this whatever. I don't know why I read 2018. I should really stop putting like the year every time I put it on there. So October 25th, 1760. Are you ready for some truth bombs?
Hit me.
George III of England is crowned king.
What
You know what
year is
he's 1760.
Okay.
And what is he most famous for?
Losing to the Americans.
Ding 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 ding. We have a winner.
We got you, England. It was a German accent. 'cause
Also
they beat
very
them at
famous at this
soccer.
point
Sorry.
for being in Hamilton and having a really funny part.
Have
you ever seen his like little thing? It's like the
No.
best part of Hamilton. Hamilton's really overrated in general, but
Deuce.
that's the scene with the King of England is really good.
But he also, I think he's Austrian or German. So that's how he inherited.
I did not know that.
Because you know how all those like European families were just like,
Yeah.
And I believe he came from. That's why he didn't really have much respect for England, and then also that he didn't really want to be there in the first place because he missed home. I believe.
Interesting. Never heard that before. October 25th, 1881. A man by the name of Pablo Picasso was born. He's actually not as old as I thought he was.
Yeah, he's like
He's only like 130 or 140.
Yeah, he was born at the turn of the century.
Just about. He was 19 in 1900.
Okay, and then I like how like the tail end of his career, like because everyone knew who he was, so the way he I mean maybe he didn't have money, maybe he got like scammed out of his money, so I remember listening to a story where he used to draw like something and like here's this, give me a pack of cigarettes. He used to buy stuff
Interesting.
with his like
Yeah,
art.
with his art.
Yeah, which was funny, but like he would just like scribble something.
Yeah.
Because that's not that it's a style, but that's like what a lot of people like call him, like the scribble guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, he used to do that just to get cigarettes.
Interesting. October 25th, 1962. Nelson Mandela is sentenced to prison in South Africa.
Boost.
Hashtag apartheid.
And then it wasn't until 1992.
We had it like not that long ago. Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
And then
it was supposed to only be a 5-year sentence as well.
Yeah, they just basically piled
but they
that
just kept
on.
him there.
What's that movie with Matt Damon and the rugby team?
I don't remember,
with
but I know which one
Morgan Freeman, Invictus.
Yes,
I think that depicts that pretty well. So if you want to,
didn't Forrest Whitaker also play Nelson Mandela at some point?
No, Last King of Scotland is what he played.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. I know everything.
Ooh, you got a message from Xbox Live. You are special.
Hey guys, you just pre-ordered Red Dead Redemption. Come lick my nips. All right, here goes.
October 26th, 1881 is the anniversary of
Anne Frank? No.
The shootout at the OK Corral with
what year?
The Earp brother, the OK Corral.
No, what year?
Oh, what year? 1881.
Okay.
The Earp brothers, including Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, getting into a gunfight. Probably one of the most famous gunfights that there is.
Wasn't the Tombstone actually happened, right?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I thought that. Never mind. Yeah. OK Corral.
Or at least that's like the story of like what happened.
I remember like always hearing stupid intros or like, oh, at the OK Corral, this has happened. Stupid movie happened.
Stupid movie.
Yeah. But always that Western, like that Western voice where the shooting at the OK Corral. But I don't do it really well.
Clearly.
Obviously. I'm not from the South. Duh.
October 27th, 1858. A man by the name of Theodore Roosevelt is born.
Theodore Roosevelt?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Are
he
you
actually
serious?
became president. There's another thing on this list on a later date.
He became president?
That ties into Teddy Roosevelt.
Wow.
In like kind of a somewhat direct way.
didn't he also have like a niece that married his like third cousin,
Mm-hmm. He did.
and then he became president?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Small world.
Wow. Also started the national parks, I
Yes,
believe,
he did.
and
Park
then
Service.
one of the I don't know if the first president, but one of the few presidents at the time that visited like the West Coast during those kind of what's it called, movements for like national forests and for preservation. He did visit like Yosemite. He went on what's his name? It's not Ansel Adams. Oh God, John Muir.
John Muir. Yeah.
He camped out with him, and like was like in like camping attire, I guess. And when he had to make press, he didn't want to make any kind of press kind of appearances because he wanted just to wear his regular stuff, and knew if he looked like that in the press, then it would look frowned upon, I guess. And also visiting Yellowstone. It was interesting to like listen and to read stuff like that. I don't know, because I went to Yosemite since I think like the year I was born all the way up until high school, like every year, and always was like learning about John Muir and Ansel Adams and the park rangers, and like their history in that valley was like pretty neat. But yeah, so.
Yeah. I lost my spot.
Place to visit.
October.
That should be on everyone's bucket list to go see how beautiful that place is. Everyone should go.
October.
Have you ever been to Yosemite?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
good.
I used to live like up in that area. Like there are things on like the Pacific campus that are named after John Muir or something.
Okay.
It's like big in that area.
Wait, did you go as a
famous
kid or
for-
did you go after college?
I went as a kid and
Okay.
right before college.
I was gonna slap you if you didn't go as a kid.
I'm sorry. What if I like didn't make it up there?
I would have slapped you.
Okay. October 27th, 1904, the New York subway opens to the public
Wow.
to give their. I didn't write down the name of the stations that it went between, but like, I would be pretty sketched out to go on the subway. I think in 1904.
I guess,
Like, I ain't looking to die in a cave.
but this is the way they probably marketed it. It was like, oh, it's safe, everybody, and not to say how stupid people were, but how like, I believe this guy. He looks like he's believable.
Yeah, I guess. October.
I still can't believe like how things are built on top of each other over there. But yeah,
They don't have space. They don't have space.
That's sketch. That's the sketchy part, not the tunnels.
Well, they don't have earthquakes, so.
But still, I don't care. That's so you see all swamps, dude. What the hell? I'm sorry.
October 28th, 1636. Harvard College is founded in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
And like last week or the week before,
We
Yale.
had Yale, yeah. And the people founded Yale because they thought Harvard was too liberal, which is like very ironic.
One of our favorite alumni to listen to who went to Harvard Law School.
He did.
Good old Ben Shapiro.
October
Shapiro.
28th, 1793. Eli Whitney.
Mark Zuckerberg went there too. Sorry.
Oh, okay. There you go. Good job, Mark Zuckerberg. 1793. Eli Whitney applies for a patent for the cotton gin. I feel like this is the reason why I put this in here, because there are a lot of in the like site that I go to, there are a lot of like there was one in here for the guy that made barbed wire and like but I didn't include it. But the reason I picked the cotton gin one is because
I thought you did barbed wire. You did barbed wire.
No, it would have been this week and I didn't do it.
No, I think we did. We talked about barbed wire.
We did. Yeah, we talked about barbed wire because we talked about
Nobel Peace Prize.
Nobel and his creation of dynamite and like how it like affected him negatively, and then you brought up the guy that created barbed wire.
Oh, okay, never mind. That was stupid.
The reason I included the cotton gin is because I feel like this is the unofficial start of like the Industrial Revolution. I feel like when we learn about the Industrial Revolution in school, like it kind of starts here with like the cotton gin.
I think I went to elementary school for a little bit in Santa Ana, like Unified, and then I eventually moved out of Santa Ana Unified. But we went to a place by Godinez High School. It's like a house, and I think they actually had like a cotton gin there to show like history around the time period, which would have been this time, I think.
Yeah.
Wait, what year is this?
This was 1793.
Okay, no, never mind. It would explain like what stuff was used for. I think they just had a cotton gin there. I remember seeing one in person. It was cool. And then I think I saw one when I went down south in Arkansas, maybe, for some kind of tour for like a Civil War battlefield.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, so the cotton gin was like one of the first major industrial like devices that like kind of cut the work of many people down to one like
Yeah, 'cause
operator and stuff like that. And
when you take cotton from like whatever, it's like kind of like a little flower, and you spread it in like there's thorns and it dries up, and you're cutting yourself. It was actually like kind of like the first step towards computing too, when you think about it a little bit. Like
I guess, yeah.
You know, I think I heard something like that, where you're kind of like doing the same kind of like chink chink.
Yeah.
Chink, chink. Yeah. But yeah. Or being mechanical, I guess.
Yeah.
Which would led to computing. But yeah.
I lost my spot again. It's okay. October 28th, 1886, the Statue of Liberty is dedicated on Liberty Island in New York Harbor. A gift from the French. I'm totally blanking on the dude's name who sculpted it. Small anecdote. I have always really wanted them to like clean it.
It's probably expensive.
They paint the Golden Gate Bridge constantly to keep it red. Like they literally, by the time they get to the end, they go back to the beginning and start.
I guess, I don't know.
Like you can't just scrape some copper off of, or scrape some.
Yeah, it would be very cool to see that in its original state. But I probably, like when it was finally up, what is it, copper still? There's probably already corrosion going on it.
No, like what the reality of it would be that
because it took a
like
while
if they
for it
scrape
to here.
If they scrape the oxidized copper off of it, it's actually going to be like taking from the statue, because like on the surface layer, like it's actually like not pure copper anymore, or bronze or whatever.
Yeah.
So like you'll actually be like filing away the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, because it's gonna get smaller.
But like they should do it like once every 100 years.
Well, it's been like 100 years, right?
It's been 140 years.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to see what it looks like.
I would too, but we don't look. That's the perk of living in that time, in New York.
I guess.
By the Liberty Island.
I wonder like how. I'm curious now. I'm gonna look it up later. Like how long it took to be like the color that it is.
Probably like a couple decades, maybe even less than that.
I'm not sure.
Because it's seawater.
Yeah.
But it took a long time for it to just get here, for sure.
Yeah.
And then
there are two other ones, right?
Parts of one, and I think there's one in France.
There's
too.
one in France, yeah.
Yeah, and the other one just like is all. There's just like a random hand somewhere.
Oh, okay.
And then there's a random head, I believe, from what I've read. I think I have to double check that.
I'm blanking on my National Treasure history lesson. National Treasure Book of Secrets, the second one.
Plus the desk and so that's so. Oh my god.
October 28th, 1927, Pan Am, which is a commercial flight company, Pan America, completes the first scheduled international flight in 1927.
1927.
I know. I think I saw it on there earlier. There was the anniversary of the first round trip to Paris and the first round trip to London, and there were like two different companies. One of them was Pan Am. I forget who the other one was, and like they like picked. They intentionally they basically like each one of them wanted to be the first or whatever. So like one of them was given the trip to Paris and one of them was given the trip to London.
Okay.
Sort of thing. So that like both of them could be like, hey, look at us. Like
we're better than you Europeans.
Yeah.
That's the one where, not the subway. That's the one I'm like.
By the plane?
Yeah.
Really? I don't know. Dude.
Those ones had like those ones probably had a higher percentage. Come on, dude. You're just like, oh, you want to go on a plane to Paris? Like, oh, to Paris? Like, yeah.
Planes are pretty safe, even back then.
I don't know, dude. I'm more sketched out about that stuff.
All right. October 20th, 1955.
It's 1927. Jesus. That's the year before my grandma was born.
55.
Sorry.
Some random dude named Bill Gates was born.
Holy crap.
He didn't really do anything.
1955?
Yeah.
Wow.
He didn't really do anything significant with his life, though. So I'm not really sure why I put it on here.
He just didn't create, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Or Microsoft.
One of his co-founders died like last week. I forget his name.
Yes. He was the ex-CEO.
And then Steve Ballmer, of course, owns the Clippers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bill Gates, probably one of the great and aggressive minds in the tech industry. Was really smart in the way he went away about developing Microsoft. It was really smart to do that because he got hardware basically for free in a way to develop what he was doing, and it didn't look like what he was doing was really important. Because I remember when they were doing IBM, like I was listening to something on like IBM on how he kind of like snuck his way, kind of was funded by IBM. Basically, Microsoft was funded by, I believe it was IBM, or it was another company that was a competitor of IBM, and basically developed this software that no one thought was like important, and then later on, like one of the most important things in computing, which is crazy.
Si, senor. October 29th, 1901. I'm going to totally butcher this name, but a man by the name of Leon Kozlgaz. Czolgozz.
Can you re-say that last name?
Kozlgaz.
One more time?
No, I'm just going to move on. This dude was executed by the federal government for the assassination of William McKinley. I told you there was another like connection to Roosevelt because he followed.
Oh yeah.
Roosevelt followed. That's how Roosevelt took office.
Remember you saying that?
Was McKinley's assassination?
He got shot. No, it was Teddy Roosevelt that did the speech.
Yeah,
but I think he had some kind of appearance, and that's when he got shot. And he just kept on. I think
that happened. That story I think happened after he was president. I don't think he was in office when that happened.
What?
When he got shot and then
Theodore
finished his
Roosevelt?
speech. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, McKinley died when. Weird thing too. Roosevelt was like out on a trip, like a camping trip, when he found out. Like after
someone had to like come find him. Like
yo,
hey, you're president.
Yeah, which was like weird. Because his career was going into kind of the dark end, because after he had been vice president, he didn't know if he was going to be able to run or the party was going to allow him to. They kind of stuck him out there because he was the mayor, or not mayor, he was senator of, or governor of New York, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they asked him to become vice president so they can get him out of that, because he was just all of his progressive kind of policies kind of put him in that little.
They wanted him like out of the way, basically.
Yeah, because at the time, I don't think it was until maybe Carter's administration on how important the vice president was, on how much they can really do. So like being vice president around that time was basically like the same. Like it was like, oh here, you're just it's just a tag on your
get a little
like,
sticker
nameplate.
that says vice president VP.
Yeah. Well, I think that I think under Kennedy there was a lot of sketchy stuff going under with Johnson, but that was just him doing his like sketchy things, if you know what I mean.
Let's see, one more here, and then I got 2 more days. So October 29th, 1929 is known as Black Tuesday. We had Black Thursday, I think. Yeah. So Black Tuesday is the single largest drop in U.S. stock market history.
1930.
29.
Oh, 29, sorry.
This was literally like a few days after the Black Thursday.
Yeah.
And 40% of the stock market's value is lost. It was the like total value of the stocks was $80 billion like the day before. And at the end of Black Tuesday, the total value was decreased by $30 billion. So the stock market lost 40% in one day.
Damn.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. That sucked for a lot of people that lived during that time, honestly.
Yes, it did.
Like the farmers, obviously, and that's tragic. A lot of people obviously committing suicide. A lot of what's it called? I guess, yeah, poverty.
Yeah. Yes.
At the time, it would be labeled as poverty at the time. Because I remember, like Cinderella Man, you really got to see that kind of way people were. And then I remember reading something about like Babe Ruth being like surrounded by people at the time. And like he would like give out tickets, and people were like, "No, we want food instead." That's how crazy it was. Like just like the way that stuff is described. But yeah.
October 30th, 1735 is the birthday of John Adams, the second president of the United States.
Low key, he's like, the more I read about him, he's like more of like the president I really enjoyed, and like is moving up there in the ranks. Just like his presidency was like the part where it's like. But like
yeah, even
before
I was gonna say,
presidency,
like, what's the name of that law that they passed?
pretty lit.
The like censorship of the newspaper, or like they could go after newspapers for printing like bad things about.
It's not espionage.
Totally blanking. I
They
should know
can
it.
use. I think they can use that on press. The Espionage Act. It's not slander. I know what you're talking about. Just like a lot of. I get what you're saying. One cool like little thing, like when he went to Spain, or actually he had to go to France, and there was a cool story of him trying to go to France, and his ship basically got blockaded and almost destroyed.
Oh yeah.
And then he ended up in Spain because of just circumstances, because the British, obviously, Navy, and what's in front of you, it's like France, obviously, you want to be in the way of that. So he made a trip with his two of his sons, and one of his sons was what president was he? What number?
6, right?
John Quincy?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe?
Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, Quincy. Quincy, someone
Jackson.
Polk, or someone Jackson.
Van
Yeah.
Buren. Okay, yeah. So yeah.
I think it was 6.
Yeah, okay. And then he was like a young boy at the time, and they made that trip on donkeys from basically like the tip of west Spain all the way up until France, which is like crazy.
Yeah.
And like they barely survived.
Yeah.
That
There's
story's
also
pretty badass.
There's also a really good HBO miniseries titled John Adams. It is Paul
Giamatti,
right, is the one who played, and there's also a lot of other historic. They have Washington and Jefferson and Ben Franklin. There's a lot of like famous famous actors playing very famous like founding fathers in that miniseries. I actually watched it like within the last year. I didn't even know that it existed. I kind of just stumbled upon it, and like it's really great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's always like a weird thing in history too when you look at like leaders in the country and how insignificant they were before action was taken. Like he was a schoolboy teacher in his younger days, and then becomes like a politician and whatnot, which is like crazy.
Yeah,
because that's I'm reading about the Middle East, and that's what a lot of people, what I'm reading, like that are not gaining power, but getting political power, and what they were doing before. They were just tired of the system. And that's like what it is.
October 30th, 1974. Don't normally throw a lot of sports things into our This Week in History.
Sports.
But a lot of people consider this to be perhaps the greatest sporting event of like the 20th century, maybe. October 30th, 1974 is the anniversary of the Rumble in the Jungle.
It's like Muhammad Ali.
Which is Muhammad Ali, and he knocked out, at the time, the sitting world champion, which was George Foreman.
Okay.
And then this was followed up by the Thrilla in Manila, like a couple years later, I think, right?
With who's the guy they fought? I'm like blanking on the fighter's name. Not Frazier. Frazier.
It was Frazier.
Yeah. Joe Frazier. There's like a series apparently about that stuff between him and Ali.
Oh.
And it paints like Ali as the villain.
Wasn't there a 30?
Really
I was gonna say 30 for 30 probably wouldn't do that, but there is a 30 for 30. I think about it.
Yeah, and then there's another like series that they did that.
October 31st. This is Halloween.
The Night Before Christmas.
Yeah, it is.
Was released on what date? What year?
Oh no, I was singing from The Night Before Christmas. I don't know when that movie came out.
Okay, what's the topic?
Sorry. October 31st, 1517. Not when The Night Before Christmas came out, but Martin Luther nails his 95 Theses to the door of the church in Wittenberg, Germany. Starting what many people call what?
Sorry, you saying 31st? I didn't get the context.
October 31st is Halloween.
I know, but like it didn't hit me, and I thought you were singing the Night Before Christmas song, and I was like, "Is it Night Before Christmas?" Like saying like this is the one that movie came out. But yeah, I got you. Okay, sorry.
No. October 31st. In case you didn't know, October 31st is Halloween.
Okay.
In other news, in October 31st, 1517, Martin Luther nailed his 95 Theses to the door of the church. And this started the Protestant Reformation. He's basically like the first Protestant.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and started the Lutheran Church. You learned that. You should have learned that in middle school. I think that was the first time I saw that. I believe maybe even before that, maybe 5th grade. Learning about
Martin
Martin
Luther.
Luther.
Middle school, isn't it?
Depends on your middle school system.
Okay.
I guess I went 6 to 8 is my
Okay.
middle school. Maybe even 4. I think it was 5th grade for learning about Martin Luther for the first time. I knew of him. I knew the name, and then finally learning about him and like why he left the church, and then like he married out to like a nun, I think. And then I kind of want to read a little bit more about him because where we're learning about like the Catholic Church right now. Like he probably had insight on like that stuff back in the day too, because they easily got away with a lot of that stuff back in the day if it happened.
Well, yeah, a lot of like his point was that like he was a priest, and like the one of the bigger problems, well, I mean for like Catholics back in the day, was that the Bible had yet to be transcribed. Well, there were a couple problems. One, either the Bible wasn't transcribed into a language like for local people, like it was still in like Latin or Greek. And then secondly, even if it was translated into like a local language, like most of the population was illiterate. So they basically, why the Catholic Church was able to get away with so much stuff was that the people were in a position where they had to rely on like their priests to like they believed whatever he said because like, oh, well, he's read the Bible sort of thing. It was like a blind faith sort of, because like they couldn't read it for themselves. So like that was kind of Martin Luther's thing, is like he went and read it for himself and then was like, looked at what the Catholic Church was doing and was like, I don't know that what you guys are doing is right. And then that was like where he got his 95 Theses from. It's kind of like the premise of it. October 31st, 1803, Congress ratifies the Louisiana Purchase. Thank you, Napoleon Bonaparte, for granting us
that Capital One commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we got it. Louisiana Purchase confirmed.
Yeah. That was pretty good. Like 14 million or 15 million, something like that, right?
A good price. I think it was it 50 million for Alaska or something like that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't remember.
Purchase.
Yeah, so that like at the time doubled the size of the United States approximately.
Mm-hmm. And then
which was a pretty big deal. And it was also at the time controversial because like Jefferson didn't know if he even had like constitutional authority to like complete the purchase. Cuz like it's like completely unprecedented, like you know, Madison when he wrote it or whatever would have never thought like, what, can the president buy up land in the name of the United States? Like I guess they didn't really see that coming.
I mean, if he wasn't allowed to, or if let's say like he was stopped, I would have been comfortable with that happening. But then I think Congress would have probably been able to approve that, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So I think Congress would have been like, oh, that's actually it's kind of smart. I think maybe we were in debt at the time.
Oh yeah,
probably.
I'm sure we were, because like we had to still probably pay off like the Dutch and the Spanish and like a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah. October 31st, 1864, the state of Nevada becomes the 36th state in the Union. It's kind of weird to me. Well, I mean, a little bit weird to me how we like made it to basically like the Mississippi, and then all of a sudden jumped to California, and then like the states kind of like filled in the middle instead of like it moving east to west sort of thing.
Oh, I could tell you a lot of reasons probably why that happened.
Anyway.
Nevada, home of where a lot of nuclear bombs fell or were tested.
And silver. It is a silver state.
Cool.
In case you didn't know.
Also home of half of the Hoover Dam.
This is also true. Yeah. And our last item on our list, October 31st, 1941, was the completion of Mount Rushmore in South Dakota.
Yes.
The Black Hills?
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding.
I don't know how long it took them either. What year was that?
It was completed in 1941.
Oh, okay. Wow. Oh, I thought it would have been like a little bit earlier than that, but
I'm sure it was started like 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I thought it would have ended like they would have.
Could you imagine like taking a chisel and a hammer and like?
Oh yeah. It's a lot
how
of work.
long that would take?
It'd take a long ass time.
What if you messed up?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I chipped a part of his nose off that shouldn't have been chipped off.
Who got some
like,
dynamite?
Just like making go to another mountain.
Yeah.
Make another mountain.
Well, they probably had professionals and whatnot that did that. I wonder how like it's corroded over the years. Honestly,
Oh, I'm sure it has.
How they do they even like? I'm pretty sure they maintain it, but
I don't know how they would. Like send someone up there and like re-chisel it or something.
I guess yeah.
They probably don't. I don't think it would, like erodes that quickly.
I guess yeah. There's probably not a lot of erosion up there either.
Well, I mean, like anytime it rains or snows.
Yeah, but it's also North Dakota, so.
It's South Dakota.
Or South Dakota, whatever, same thing.
Basically, yeah.
Why don't they just call them Dakota?
I'm sure there's some like if you ask a North Dakota and a South Dakota person, they'll be like, "Ah, those are North Dakota people." I'm sure there's some like good reason.
Well,
for
I
it
get
being
like
split.
okay, they both have two senators.
Why are there
apiece,
two
but
Carolinas?
That's a good point.
Why are there two Virginias? Well, the Virginia thing was like also like
that was like a Civil War thing.
a little bit.
It was like, oh, we don't want to be associated. We don't want to be with those guys. Virginia used to be like really big. Now it's just like, oh, it lost the tip of a PP.
Yeah, it did. All right, that is
All
it.
right.
That's all I got.
That is all for the history this week. But before we get into the last topic, which is gonna be kind of interesting, go ahead and let us know if we missed anything. Go ahead and let us know any other facts that we should have brought up. Also, that's it. Yeah, I don't know. I can't come with anything else. But yeah, let us know in the comments down below.